hopefully my goal would be to eventually get a studio, even though you have it set up here.
Yeah.
But sometimes going to the studio, are we looking in the camera?
No, we're just talking.
Okay.
We're just having a conversation.
Yeah, sometimes going into, you know, I with my business, I worked from home for my entire life. You know, I raised my kids from home, and so it was great. But you also separating that work from business.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that would be the ultimate dream, is to go in where it's like everybody's at the studio, so to speak, because even when you're here, you're at home.
Yeah.
So it can, and so you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that would be, you know, and I'm looking forward to, you know, knowing enough to be dangerous, but I never want to be like, hey, I'm going to do it and I don't need you, because it's like, it takes a team.
Yeah.
It's, and a lot of people, I'm not saying this to point anyone out, but a lot of people, you know, it's hard to get that concept, at least what I've found. And so just, you know, with my 857 Tucson, the community has brought kind of this energy to me. And that's when I reached out to you. Yeah. And I was like, man, I saw the photos of everything you had set up, and it was like, I need to at least introduce myself. Yeah. And then as my mom used to always say, she would say, you know, extend the olive branch. Yeah. And then that's where we're at, is like just trying to not be held back by, you know, fear, which a lot of times fear of failure will just hold people back. And I failed. And failure, and you know, I think we talked about this before, is what you learn so much from it. So then the next time you try, you got those things out, and you're like, you know what, I know what to do to avoid that mistake. Yeah. So
yeah, I always say that I look forward to my next failure.
Yeah,
because that's like, at least I'm trying something. You know, you can't fail if you're not trying.
And that's what life's about. You know, I mean, me being deep down just an artist, and, you know, getting to know you, and you're an artist, different artist. Obviously you're into more of, you know, music, singing, and just expressing yourself through, you know, words like that. And mine is more towards, you know, painting, art. Cool. But it's just staying creative is what I tell everybody out there, is just stay creative. Yeah. No matter what you're doing, because this world is such a repetition. Yeah. And so that's when I reached out to you and then met you, and I was like, wow, we actually have a lot in common.
Yeah. Yeah. Super similar goals. And the thing is, like you said, it's really nice to have this stuff here, but that separation of, I'm going into work to get things done, or even having that collaborative effort of, you know, so many people are going to be at the studio working on things and bouncing ideas off each other, and having that energy feed off of one another. Like, that's the goal for me too. Yeah. You know, I would love to take everything that I have here in my home, which I love having here for moments like this.
Exactly.
To sit down, have these conversations, but to like have something where we can go to and maybe have people already there that are doing the same thing, and surrounding ourselves with like-minded people that have similar goals. And, you know,
and there's so much opportunity out there. I mean, back when we were kids, you know, the internet wasn't there. Yeah. And it was like, there's these gatekeepers, no matter where you were trying to go to do anything. And it was like, I grew up where it's like, oh, if you don't go to college, you're not going to make it. And it was like, oh man. So I felt like I just had to hustle from, you know, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. And so it's like, everything that I am today, it's like, I want to show someone else that, hey, you got the power right inside of you. It could be, you know, t-shirt pressing. It could be, you know, your car rental business. Yeah. You know, I think you mentioned your girlfriend's a painter. Yeah. You know, it's like, but a lot of people don't access that part of their brain, you know, and
sometimes ever.
Yeah, sometimes ever. Yeah. But I'm noticing, just, you know, meeting you, there are other people that have that same vision of just, let's go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm really excited to be working together in one facet or another, you know, and whatever plane that ends up being on, and we're figuring that out, you know, and for me to put these tools and resources and all these failures to use finally, right? Because I've learned so many lessons along the way, like you were saying, and I wanted to create the ecosystem that you're talking about. Like my girlfriend's an incredible artist.
Yep.
My buddy, he has a t-shirt printing company. I got another buddy here in Tucson that's he's got a venue where he puts on huge events, live music, all kinds of things happening there. And then you have this outreach. Tell me a little bit about what you got going on with 857.
Well, it's been kind of started as like a grassroots organic thing that basically everything you just said with lots of failures, but then successes.
Yeah.
And going, you know, as much as we can talk failures, it's like successes of things that you've learned. And my personality is just like a sponge. So for my whole life, I've just been soaking in things I learn, and I enjoy it. And so with this 857 Tucson, it was more about, you know, bringing awareness to the community of day-to-day things that are going on as long for safety, and it's evolving every day.
Yeah.
At first I thought, well, you know, I'm going to be this, which at that time it was I would host court, which I still do, so people could see, hey, this person who just, you know, robbed my neighbor, and I can now go see who that person is, got arrested. I mean, it should be, I mean, I'm not trying to ever like put people down, but it's mainly just our right to know as Americans, hey, this person is robbing, you know, houses. If, you know, you need to know. And number one, it's just our right. And so that's kind of where that came from. And then I ran the police scanner during the middle of the night. So when people are sleeping and all of a sudden the helicopter's flying above, they can log in and go, hey, what's going on? And then it became a community.
Nice.
Where people started coming into the chat rooms and then, you know, commenting on posts. And so it's really about just making Tucson better in the future and not just being okay with the status quo.
Yeah, that's great. So it's more so, I don't want to say the word news, because you're building a community that essentially it's alerting the other people in the community and opening up conversation to things that are happening in your area, good, bad, and indifferent, right? Just basically opening the doors for people, an open line of communication for people in Tucson to communicate easily in one facet or another.
Yeah, and some of that is with the media in Tucson. It's slanted certain ways. Every media is, and so this was just another opportunity for people to get the news.
Yeah.
But it's also news about, you know, community events. Like for instance, this weekend the street fair is going on. Have you been to the street fair?
I haven't.
Oh man, I hope you guys are going, right?
Yeah, we should.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Cool.
It only comes twice a year, and you'll actually probably be like, dude, thank you for telling me to go.
Nice. Babe, you been there? The street fair? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going.
Yeah. So it's just a bunch of vendors, and they're all local artists.
Cool.
And cool people. And so my goal eventually would be to every year I need a booth at the street fair. Those are people that I love. I mean, it's the artists, it's the normal citizens of Tucson.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we got to the street fair. What did you ask me?
No, that's cool. Just about building community.
Yeah.
You know, and the direction of 857. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, you now have a platform. You didn't even know where or how it was going to grow to where it's at now. You've kind of found a niche. Now, where do you see 857 Tucson going? Do you see branches coming off of that, or is this just a seed you're planting, or like, what's the growth of 857 Tucson look like?
Yeah, and a lot of it is just reaching out and building a team right now of good people that want to, you know, make a positive impact in helping businesses, you know. And so, like, for instance, your business, the car rental business.
Wardy's Car Rentals, yeah.
It would be, you know, to have for you to be able to inexpensively advertise on a platform without having to go into the big news $20,000 contracts that, you know, Channel 3 or Channel 9 charges.
Yeah.
This would be a little more inexpensive way for them to get in and get their, you know, your car rental business to everybody. I mean, just
more intimate almost.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but no. I mean, it just seems as though I know because I've done advertising myself, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you feel like you're just screaming off a cliff into the ether, just hoping that somebody will see it, and you don't know who's going to be seeing it, if it's going to be somebody here, there, wherever else, you know? But so it sounds like, you know, to be able to advertise with somebody that has an ecosystem that is Tucson based, not only Tucson based, but you know that it's going to be locals that are tuned in for specific things where they want to support other local businesses.
Yeah, and that's the main thing about Tucson is it has such a small town feel. Yeah. And like I lived up in Phoenix for 15 plus years. Everyone's going a million miles an hour there, and it's a little more like you're just kind of, you know, I kind of felt like I was just so small there. And so in Tucson, you really actually do have, everyone has an opportunity to have a voice, essentially. Yeah. So that's why they call it the biggest small town in Tucson.
The biggest small
town in the world.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, just building the community, and then, you know, reaching out to people that are, I call you an expert in this industry as far as the audio, so if a business does come and say, you know what, I'm going to support this because it's a good mission and I believe in it, but also I want to, you know, help my business out. Yeah. And then, joining up with our team, it would be something that we would obviously put 100% in, either doing live videos from their location or doing an interview just like this on how we got started. Yep. And I hope to hear more about, you know, like your business. How do you get into the car rental business? I mean, you got Hertz and you got, so right. It's like, when you told me that, I was like, wow, well, that's interesting. And so it's just, I'm a sponge and, you know, I hope, and I'm sure you are, to learn from other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just it. And I think with every business owner, like we've all had so many lessons, AKA failures, lessons, whichever way I mean, we're in the same boat. Like those to me are lessons, you know? Yeah. And the lessons turn into blessings. And it's like, you just continue to stack those up over time. Yeah. But like any business owner has been through it. They didn't get to where they're at because it was easy. And no, they had to grit their teeth. They beat their head against a wall multiple times. They had long nights pulling out their hair. Yeah. And they got to a point, or maybe are still almost getting to the point to where the business is maybe self-sufficient, or they're hiring people, but that's their baby. And it took up so many years of their life to get to the point of where they're at. Yeah. And they want to share. Yep. And so to be able to open up, what you're saying is maybe advertise and then have them sit down and have a conversation about their business. So not only is somebody coming to rent a car, say for my business, but they know who I am now.
Where's the money going? I mean, a lot of these corporations, you know, the money goes out to the state. So it's like, yeah, they're going to know, hey, I'm buying this from Alexander, you know, this is out, you know, so it's just it's just more of a personal, you know, relationship too. And so building on that where, maybe inspiring other people who haven't even, it's still sitting on the shelf. It's not even on the shelf. It's in their brain. They're like, you know what? These guys really inspired me. And now I'm going to, you know, reach out to them and go, hey, I want to be a part of this somehow. Cause it's like, this isn't just me and you, it's going to be a team. Like you said, holding events, you know, we're going to need, people making calls to, you know, potential people who want to have their booth at our show, or, you know, things like that. And really not ever disclude anyone. Yeah. Right. So like the channel news is not going to have D2 dispensary on their channel. Right. 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 857 Tucson is going to have the dispensaries on the channel. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're going to also go over, you know, that Tucson is kind of ran like a mafia. Yeah. The government. There's been some people and they all know each other. And that's where some people want to hear. Mm-hmm. Well, then there might be, I hope, to go, hey, we're going to go do, a whole thing where we go out to an artist like your girlfriend, and we spend an hour just in their studio and going, hey, what got you into art? Cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, but hey, this guy, he fixes motorcycles up, and this guy, and we're over there finding out what his business. And so they also get that, positive energy of like,
Yeah.
hey, these guys came out.
Yeah. And I mean, then you're not just eating the sandwich from the sandwich shop. You're realizing that the guy who started the sandwich shop, him and his pops used to make sandwiches before going out and going fishing together or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And it just developed into something. And so, yeah, putting a face to our local business, I think, is important. And that, I think with 857 Tucson being, you know, the tree trunk, there's a lot of branches that are available, you know, and I'm looking forward to giving you whatever knowledge that I have, and whether you take it and run or we continue to work together forever, fantastic, you know, but if I can help you get to a point where, you know, you have a business call out in Phoenix, or where, you know, some business owner of Tucson is living elsewhere and you want to interview them, either set you up to be able to do that via Skype, or you fly out and you grab a couple of mics and, you know, it's hot and ready whenever you need it, you know?
Well, and that's where this is just a, you know, something eventually that to bring national, you know what I mean? With different things, using all the skills that I'm learning today in what I'm doing. So, but I'm trying to just focus and keep it focused 100% on Tucson, because the news doesn't cover, they cover the world too, you know? And so it's like they only have 30 minutes, and you got the sports, and so it's really just a way in the future. I see in the future that content is going to be bigger than the news. Yeah. What we're doing right now is going to be, the news is not even going to get the amount of people that see it. Yeah. And so this is kind of like somebody I had a meeting with. He goes, you know, you're a pioneer. And that's essentially what you are too. You're a pioneer and just thinking this way. Yeah. Because everybody is so used to stuck in the box, right? You're the box, or, you know, and so we're thinking outside the box of like, where could we bring this in the future? And I think when we first met, you're like, this is the year, because, you know, we prepared. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah. I call it either blind optimism or unrealistic optimism. Something about 2025 just felt right. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm waking up every day so excited about 2025, but maybe you're exactly right. It's like you put yourself in the position to succeed in whatever avenue you decide to do, because you've learned in every single avenue. Yeah. And it's like to put your best foot forward. And like for me, it was putting myself out there saying, hey, I have a studio, taking the chance to open up my house to strangers. Yeah. To come over. And that was just to build the ecosystem of people that have the same mindset. Like you said, building the team. Yeah. It was a huge risk for me. Heart racing the first time I had somebody come over to step inside of my house to record music. Right. You know, and it's like, but I'm so happy I did. Yeah. And that unwavering optimism. No fear. Yeah. Just that, you know, and maybe there was fear, but to conquer the fear.
That's it.
And realize that it's okay to open your doors sometimes, you know?
And that's what I'm hoping my page will do is, and me personally is, you know, when I moved back to Tucson from Phoenix, it was like I have my same high school friends and they're great people. But when I went to them and said, hey, I'm starting this. Yeah. Let's do, hey, like me and you are talking right now. Yeah. That's what I heard back.
Just dead silence. It's like looking at you all bug-eyed like,
yeah. And so it was like, you know, I just finally had to look myself in the mirror and said, you know what? I don't need anybody at this point. Yeah. I just need to get over the fear of that I need someone to hold my hand. Yeah. And so until a certain point, because I'm trying to think like the same concept of building a team. So I'm like going to these guys going, hey, let's build this team. And they're like, I'd rather work at SRP. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what about after work? Oh, I'll call you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, and I love them to death. They're like, they're the bros. You know what I mean? They're like, they're all, you know, it's just, I'm not going to go to them back anymore and put that effort into trying to get people that really don't, they're okay with it. And I'm fine with that too. If you want to just chill and smoke weed and drink beer and just hang out, like, dude, that's cool. Yeah. I'm not like,
No
that's
judgment. You do your thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, I'm not sitting, I mean, if you're doing fentanyl and you're nodding off and you're almost dying in the street, I mean, I feel so bad for you that I want to I want those people off the streets, man.
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of my activism, as far as just kind of helping people make aware of how bad it really is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, like you said, just bringing real news to real people from real people,
Yeah.
you know, and that is important. And I feel there's so many communities, and this being the biggest small city, there's a lot of different there's a lot of segregation to a degree here, right? Like, you find more crime in specific areas than others, and you never get to hear about all of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think the work you're doing is great, man. And I'm blessed to be a part of it, and I'm happy to see, I'm happy to see what this ecosystem that we're building out right now turns into, you know, with
well, I think it just takes that half glass full, attitude, and a lot of people can get stuck in the negative news.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have to train myself to compartmentalize different things. Right.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just, but it takes experience. And so that's why, like, I would never say to someone else, like, hey, why aren't you doing what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is me, man. Like, I don't expect anyone to ever be inside my brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cause I'm just a very half glass full. And then, you know, after hearing, you know, what you've built and your passions, it's like that energy reverberates. And so, yeah, I'm just looking forward to the future. And like you said, what we can put together and bring other people in.
Yeah.
And share that energy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that this was a great start. We got amazing audio. We got some good video. We got some good lighting.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked, man. I think that we could just go ahead and continue this conversation for just a moment, and we'll grab some tight shots, if you don't mind. Is this still recording?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Cool.
Do you want to try to see if you want to go through the lights to see which one looks better when you go through the video?
Yeah, we'll take a look real quick. That was
perfect.
nice, man.